Hello, everyone. Before we start, I would just like to make a couple of clarifications. Number one, when we refer to one of the first Nollywood movies, Living in Bondage, we were correct that it was in 1992. However, I then went on to explain the plot of a completely different movie in 1995, Mortal Inheritance. So please do forgive my ignorance. Yeah. And now on to the episode. Hi guys, and welcome back to part 2 of Nollywood Nuances. With me, I've got Ify and Ama from Goals or Not podcast.
Guys.
Ama was actually the one that got me into podcasting. Like, she's my podcast mama.
Yes.
So thanks, mama.
You're welcome, Mama.
What we talked about last episode was more nuances about Nollywood, the things that if you're not in the culture, you won't know. So I'm gonna about that a bit later, but I just have some other questions to ask you guys. Kind of get a feel for what you guys think about Nollywood and that.
Okay, hit us.
Okay, what is your Nollywood origin story?
I would say Nollywood is just because we grew up in a household. Obviously, my mom watches Nollywood. My dad used to watch Nollywood. So automatically, growing up in Nigeria, you just have to watch Nollywood. It's on the TV. I feel like back in the day, that's the only thing that was shown on TV before DSTV days.
Yes.
And everything. You were watching like Nollywood on TV. So I think that's how it started coming along in our life. What about you, Boo?
Well, a lot of people will deny that they remember this, but my Nollywood story started with the whole video club ideas. I know video clubs no longer exist, but like back in the day, we had to like get these little like ID cards.
I know when they used to sell those CDs on the road, like
of course,
all these hawkers will be selling CDs. Like obviously they're all pirated, but like they were cheap. Like
so as I've said before, Nollywood is sort of part of growing up in Nigeria. What about when you came here? Me and Ama came to the UK around the same time-ish.
Yeah. Coming here, obviously, you want that feeling that you miss home. Like watching Nollywood, my mom still forever till today watches Nollywood because it kind of reminds her of being back home. So you kind of watch Nollywood just to get that nostalgic feeling. And now, lately, you can see Nollywood everywhere on YouTube, even Netflix. So like it's just accessible and easy just for you to remember your roots.
We talked about that. The Nollywood for us is a way to remember the culture, all the razness that you're missing because you're British and you have to talk like this.
Yes, I know. Abby, I think Nollywood is just something that's always going to be part of our lives. I know right now we've probably been distracted by other stuff like other Netflix shows or Hollywood, but you still from time to time again you just crave yourself wanting to watch Nollywood every now and then.
Of course, and we're always looking for village film to watch.
Yes, village films. I feel like I even prefer back in the days. I think that's why now I haven't completely lost interest, but I prefer older movies like back in the day compared to, because now they're just trying to make it too westernized and Hollywood-ish, like, or Netflix worthy. Like back in the day, you could see the real village films and the real films.
With actors that are a bit more relatable than I think they have now. Because then, of course, who didn't know who Pepe was? Who didn't know Ukwa? Who didn't know Aki and Popo? Man, those were the days. But you know what's so weird? Everyone I've talked to that came from Nigeria always prefers old Nollywood. I haven't met anyone that sort of like loves new Nollywood. Last we talked about the Nollywood nuances, the cultural cues that only people in Nigeria would know, both in new and old Nollywood. For example, we're talking about the fact that rich people, they don't eat swallow.
It's true.
At all.
They'll be eating fork and knife.
And the saddest bit is that swallow is something that does not rely on your financial background.
Exactly.
Everyone eats swallow. It's always fried rice. Even jollof rice sometimes. It's always fried rice. People, they're too concerned about making people believe that Africa is not all bush or we just... What was this film? There's a film I watched. They were all... I think it was Wedding Party or so. Yeah, I think it was Wedding Party. Wedding Party 1 was good because of I think it was okay, but I think the hype kind of raised it up. Wedding Party 2, where they had the white girl. Come on, yeah. They now made it extra tush. Like, it now felt like I was watching a British film with like black people in it.
Exactly.
You know that film on Netflix, Lionheart, that almost got nominated for an Oscar? Like, can you imagine that Nollywood at an Oscar?
Yes, I know.
So what do you think about like the achievements of new Nollywood these days? Yeah, as you said, we're on Netflix. People are actually watching us.
Yeah.
And YouTube, Iroko, Ibaka, all those. We have a channel on Sky dedicated to Nollywood movies. So what do you think that says about us generally, Nigerians, and you and me specifically?
I feel like obviously now, because Nollywood is now being put on the map, is now on Netflix and everyone knows about it. So there's a lot more movies coming out now and people are more in tune with like Afro beats as well. So Nollywood is now popping. So being African is kind of like in vogue.
The podcast I just listened to by GoalsOrNot, guys, you need to check them out. They're so good. The podcast that you released recently was talking about that thing where when we're younger, it wasn't cool to be African. Like,
yes,
you had to feel sort of ashamed of it, or you have to like build confidence in yourself to be African. And now it's in vogue. Do you think Nollywood benefited from that, or do you think Nollywood helped it?
No, I think Nollywood benefited from that. I don't actually think Nollywood helped it. I think Nollywood benefited from the fact that Afrobeats is trending. Yeah, because Nollywood has always been there, but like Afrobeats have just started getting recognized like worldwide. So obviously it's now in vogue to watch Nigerian stuff or listen to Nigerian stuff or Afrobeats in general. So that's why Netflix has now put us on there. Now they're now making movies that they think will be suitable for all these westernized people and everybody all over the world that they forgot about. That aiming for all of us that grew up in Nigeria, you get?
Yes. Ify, what do you think about that?
Well, basically, I feel that, like my wife said, we just rode the wave because obviously a lot of Afro beats were on the rise then. We had a lot of ideas coming from the Caribbean. We had a lot of ideas coming from, South America. We had a lot of ideas coming from Africa, the motherland as well. So obviously it just all came together and this Afro-Caribbean movement just pushed Nollywood movies to the limelight. Because, when we look at it now, you cannot compare what we had back in the day, the classics, to what we have now. Because then we had lots of stories that were relating more to the African experience, but now we are like trying to come to the 21st century where westernization is actually a very huge aspect of most of our lives.
Definitely. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I believe it's a good thing if managed properly, because the thing is that a lot of people will now be looking at the temporary or short-term benefits of this. Now, chance for us to push not just Nollywood, but the African experience as a whole. We're talking about lifestyle, we're talking about fashion. Obviously, they see us, they've not been to this part of the world. This is a good chance for tourism for a lot of African, especially Nigeria. You have a situation to showcase your culture, your beliefs, things that people will get interested in. It's like a whole new channel. What's stopping African designers from being on Paris or big level? This can happen if we choose to keep telling African stories. Exactly, because like the global audience does not want to see you telling an American story in an African setting.
So you think that shine that new Nollywood has to be polished?
It has to be polished.
That's why I don't think it's a good thing, because now let's say comedy, like Nigerian Nollywood comedy, for example, back in the day, Nollywood comedy was funny. Most of the comedies on Netflix very cringy, and they're losing. I mean, they might be gaining more obviously viewers, like all these westernized people or people abroad, but they're losing like viewers from back home, like us, the OGs, the ones that like the OG Nigerian movies, and where they're losing us I'm speaking for myself, because that's why I've lost interest. Like, even if I'm going to watch Nollywood today, I'll be looking for older ones.
And on YouTube?
Yes, not on Netflix. I have Netflix. I've watched almost everything on Netflix, but I refuse to touch Nollywood. But I can go on YouTube and watch like old like Nollywood movies. Do you know what I mean? So like, yes, they're putting us out there, but I don't even think they're putting us like our culture out there. I feel like Afrobeats probably is putting more of our culture out there than movies, to be honest, because they're all basically all westernized now. Some of them are even faking accents in the movies. Like, I don't know, it just sounds very fake.
It doesn't sound us. It doesn't sound like us.
It doesn't sound like us. I'm not a fan. So that's just my personal opinion. But most people might like it, and most people might think, oh, like they love having watching Nollywood movies, recent Nollywood movies compared to before. But the quality is good. Like the quality, video
Production
quality,
value.
yeah.
Production fact. Oh my God, guys, have you guys watched October 1 on Netflix?
I think my mom has watched it.
The cinematography, the color grading, the sound, it was it was beautiful. But then I think what you guys are trying to say is, oh, that might be good, but because it is not addressing who we are as a country, as a culture, it is not. It might end up disastrous in a couple of years. Hopefully not. So, what do you have a favorite film?
Favorite film? Well, favorite Nollywood film.
Yeah.
I don't have one specific one, but like I have loads. I feel like back in the day, like there's this film, I can't remember what it's called, but it was with Regina Askia. Like I think I think that was probably one of my favorites because I watched it so much, where she was Queen of the Coast or something.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Yeah, that film used to scare me so much back in the day.
God.
I think it's Karashika. Oh my God, it's Karashika. But I feel like because my mom had the CD of that, so I used to watch it all the time. I used to scare me. But now watching it back, it just brings that like nostalgic feeling. The quality was so bad, but it was Nollywood back then. You know, the juju and the stupid effects and everything. It's just funny. It makes everything funny. And Mr. Ibu as well.
You know, I feel like that guy. I feel like Mr. Ibu doesn't get his like just rewards. I feel like he should be a lot more popular and a lot more.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he is. He's literally one of Nollywood's legends. There's so many veteran actors that are legends that because we're, as you said, chasing that shiny westernized ideal, we just leave the actors that grew up, that worked to make the industry. We're leaving them behind.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely. I feel like he even deserves more credit than Aki and Popo. I mean, Aki and Popo, they're both legends, but Mr. Ibu was funny.
He was the first.
He was more funny, and I feel like he should even be on the same level as Osofia.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, because now I feel like people recognize Osofia more than Mr. Ibu. I feel like they just basically restricted Mr. Ibu to just being memes on Instagram. It's hard for you guys to be using him as memes.
I agree. Ify, what about you? Do you have a favorite film or like a favorite type of film?
Mine would probably have to be, it's a bit more recent, King of Boys.
Of course.
I just like the way that they brought the whole like traditional kind of setting. It was in vernacular, obviously, in the Yoruba language. But it was a very well told story, which goes to show you the direction in which the new set of people that are making movies are going. Yeah. Exactly. And I think if they can sustain with that energy and those views, I believe that Nollywood will get back to the position that it ought to be in. That's the King of Boys.
King of Boys is so good and it's beautifully direct. It's what, as you said, it's what you want for Nollywood. What about favorite actors and actresses?
Oh, I love RMD.
Of course.
RMD is the OG. He's my favorite actor ever. RMD. I feel like he can act anything. Like rich man, poor man, he can act it. But even though he mainly acts rich man, like but he just does it so well.
These days, he has to go with what he looks like now.
Yeah,
the rich guy. What about you, Ify? Do you have a favorite actor? We'll talk about actresses later because I think that most people have more favorite actresses than actors. People don't like actors. I don't know why.
I feel that because most ladies are able to play more diverse roles than guys.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
But I believe, okay, for me, actor-wise, that'll be OC Ukeje.
Oh, nice. I love that guy.
There was a role that he played. It's basically a film. He was like someone who was really poor, but he was really good at running. So he like trying to become a better athlete. And like, it was shocking.
White Waters. That's Yinka's favorite film.
Really? I actually forgot the name, but yes, that's the one.
White Waters,
White Waters. So basically to see him transition from a struggling athlete to become like one of the top runners, like that was a very well told story. And even though it had taken inspiration from a lot of foreign influences, it still retained its traditional and local flair. Yeah. So yeah, to see him play that role, that guy is diverse.
And he luckily is one of the actors. He's very new in Nollywood, but he's old Nollywood in talent.
Yeah.
In diversity.
Yeah, there's another film that I really think was really good but quite underrated. I think it's Tears. Is it Tears from Heaven?
Oh,
That film
Tears
made me
from
cry.
Heaven. Oh my god, that came out when I was in primary school. You would have been in primary school as well.
Yeah, that was so sad. But that was like the best movie ever.
That was so many tears, man.
I feel like you should probably ask us like what's our least favorite Nollywood movie.
Oh my god. Why I have never thought to ask people that.
Because
I
really have one that just irks me.
All right, Saint.
My least favorite Nollywood movie has to be Chief Daddy.
Oh god, I support how
really?
God, Chief Daddy was cringy AF.
Really? I actually really liked it.
They just put too many they just put cameos for no reason.
Yes.
They put too many people in it for no reason. Like it just I feel like it was nice quality, it was just good on the eye, but like god, that film was dry.
Controversial stance. I like it. I'm gonna start asking people that. If do you have one?
So I'm actually on the same page you have. Chief Daddy was hyped because they had like a whole ensemble of so many big names in music and Nollywood. So like supposed to be like this really banging, awesome, completely mind-blowing movie. But then you watch it and you realize that they're going through the motions. It wasn't funny.
It was not funny one bit.
The lines were lacking punches and like the whole delivery was just kind of like flat. I mean the people in there were good, but like the whole experience, it didn't feel funny. Like when you genuinely watch a film and you laugh and have a lot of things you can take away from, like, you know, either the slang or certain lines or certain parts of the scenes. Chief Daddy had none of that.
Yeah, that Chief Daddy is a prime example of what they're trying to do too much to like, and they overhyped it. When they overhype something, they just ruin it for themselves.
The hype, we need to be better at hyping things, man.
Yep, definitely. I was going to say I haven't watched King of Boys. I need to watch it. Everyone keeps saying good things about it.
It's on Netflix. So what are your favorite actresses? Because they're gonna be lots. I think one of your favorite actresses, Amy, should be Stella Damasus, because I feel like you look like her.
Stella Damasus. It used to be, but I feel like she really acts like all these cry movies. I think mine is Genevieve, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it's Genevieve. One of my I feel like actresses I have a few is Genevieve, Stella Damascus, and Tonto Dike.
Tonto Dike, wow.
Yeah, I love Tonto Dike.
She's become so controversial.
Yeah, she's become so controversial, but I like her as an actress.
Tonto Dike is one of those like golden actresses in Nollywood that was part of our history. It's nostalgia. Does she still act? Good.
I don't think she does, but most of them don't really act right now.
Do you think that could be another reason why new Nollywood isn't quite hitting us that way? First of all, the actresses and the actors of old, their fees are so high now that you can't physically have them in your movie without a lot of capital. But
yeah, that's why they've got a lot of new people.
Who are your favorite actresses?
I've got to stick with Mercy Johnson. I've been a huge fan of her. She actually makes me laugh quite a lot. And this is actually a funny one. Rita Dominic.
Oh, I love Rita Dominic.
But not because of her acting, because she cries a lot. Babe,
guys,
let's not even go there.
Guys, if we're talking about crying, remember Nkiru Suvanus is there.
Oh wow, that's actually true. Okay, I actually take that back. She cried.
That last time in the podcast, we're talking about the fact that as Nigerians, we like to watch people suffer. And I don't know why. Why do we enjoy seeing people suffer?
I don't know. I feel that this might be a bit of an African thing. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the concept of I better pass my neighbor. And that is actually the name of a type of generator that people buy. We Africans are basically wired to try and be better than our peers and our family members. And that now causes us to now see even having one thing that the other people do not have as being an achievement worth showcasing or bragging about. So I think it's something that we've had since time immemorial. Ever since I was little, I've always known that I've been told to either be better or to have something that my peers do not have, either educationally or professionally. So that's it. We just have a competitive mindset. So basically, when you see someone that doesn't have what you have, you feel that you're better. So I think that suffering angle now comes in because you see that person suffering because you're better than the person. You're like, oh yes, I have arrived.
That's a very interesting perspective.
I only like suffering like movies because they're sad, and I like sad movies and I cry.
What are some of your favorite stories? As you said, you like sad things. Is it just sad things you like? What do you like? The Cinderella stories? You like the Juju parts? There's some action. We have a variety of stories. What kind of stories do you like most?
I feel like the Cinderella parts, like the ones where someone's being maltreated and then all of a sudden God saves them. They meet a rich man, and then the life turns around. That story, I know it's so popular, but like
it is so popular.
I love that storyline because I feel like there's always something to learn from that. Even though they're all similar, you always learn something from it. Like there's always a moral of the story. What about you, babe?
Okay, for me, I know this is a bit of a silly one, but I always love the storyline where good triumphs over evil. And this is where I have to give an special shout out to Patience Ozokwo, aka
of course,
Mama G. Because in all her movies, basically, she's always saying the evil in-law or the evil relation, and she always runs mad. So I actually believe that kind of made me more spiritual as a person because I didn't want to be someone that ran mad in my own family.
That is really interesting. What do you guys say to the idea that in that old Nollywood, whatever film you're watching, it leaves a moral, it has soul, it's trying to tell you something.
Yes.
But new Nollywood, do you feel like it sort of lacks that, or is it trying to put a story in a different way?
Yeah, I think old Nollywood definitely has had like at the end of the movie, like it always teaches you a lesson. Like you always have a lesson to learn, or maybe don't trust this person, or something about marriage, or just it has always had a lesson. But like new Nollywood, I don't really learn any lesson from it. It's just nice to look at. Like, you know, you have nice, good looking people as actors. There's good quality. There's probably nice music. That's really it. I don't really learn any lesson. Like the storylines are just stuff that you always watch every day on Netflix. You get, but just a little bit of Niger touch.
Ify, what do you think about that?
For something as simple as seeing the end credits with the "To God Be the Glory,"
of course.
We need to have that in every Nollywood film because the whole cast and the production team knew what it meant to make a movie. They knew the effort. They had to get the script. They had to make the content believable because Nigeria was the immediate market. But now that it's on a global level, it's like, why don't we just do what everyone else is doing? And now that we're now moving to international platforms like Netflix, we are trying to not seem too different. So we are just basically taking what we can. Okay, this is like a generic romantic comedy. This is like a generic, like, drama film. It's something that we've seen before, from the Tyler Perrys to your people. We are not seeing things that we can really like relate to.
But even Tyler Perry sometimes does have a sort of moral center to his films.
Yeah. He does. But now the Nigerian movies in question that you're now seeing, would you say they also possess the same moral compass? You have the typical like shady scandal-filled movie or show. What's the end game? Okay, probably the person maybe join like a prayer group. That's for the few, but the rest they always try to keep up with their international peers. So you end up having movies with plots that are not really resolved as you feel they should be morally.
But would you say the same thing about Hollywood? Some Hollywood movies, I think maybe most of them, don't have that moral center that we're looking for. But we don't say that is wrong. So why would we say the same thing? Why would we say the same thing about Nollywood?
I think it's because we're Nigerians, obviously, and we can relate to Nollywood, like some storylines in Nollywood, like the ones from back in the day where you have everyone has, or some you always know someone who has an evil uncle, or like who knows someone who has an evil mother-in-law. Do you get what I mean? Like you could always relate to that because it's personal and you're Nigerian. But Hollywood ones, you cannot really relate to somebody who obviously wakes up and next day they're Spider-Man, or they wake up or like they're going to fight. So like you can't really relate to Hollywood like the way you relate to Nollywood because you're Nigerian. And I feel like obviously people who are not Nigerian or African might not relate to Nollywood like that. Do you get? Because they just can't relate. They don't have mother-in-law issues. They don't have evil uncles or juju. They don't believe in that kind of stuff. True. I think that's just what it is.
That is interesting. What are the worst things? What do you not like about some stories? What stories do you not like? What things do you not like?
I don't know, all these, like, I feel like all these ones where they try to be funny, that they go to another country, like Like goes to Jamaica or this person goes to London. I don't know, those ones just kind of cringe me out. What about you?
I think I'll have to go with her as well. Obviously, you're going to a different climate, to a different like culture, and people with different understandings of what your basic mannerism should be. So when they now overflog the character, whereby they now try to really lean into like the character's like shortcomings, it seems forced. It doesn't seem genuine. Like for example, you see a Nigerian goes abroad, and you're seeing situations whereby, okay, like Osofia in London, basically he travels, he comes here to the UK, and he goes to the park and he's feeding pigeons agege bread. I don't think there's any Nigerian that is so Nigerian that he will go and do that when they're not even like. I mean, it's crazy.
Guys, before I let you go, I want to play a game. And this game is called Build Your Own Nollywood Movie. It is basically what it says on the tin. Build your own Nollywood movie. Okay, number one, who's your main actor?
RMD.
Ify, do you agree with this too?
Okay, sure. RMD is he's one of the best.
What about your main actress?
Joke Silva.
I was going to say Patience, but yeah, Joke Silva is a good
nice. One. Who's the villain? Who's the one that's going to be doing the bad things?
Kanayo.
Oh my God. No questions asked. So, what is the interesting thing about your film?
It's old school. Because it's got like the OG actors there. And it's probably going to be an old school storyline.
And it's going to have the old school soundtrack. We are coming. We are coming. We are coming. You know, with like the piano drop. You know how we used to do back in the day, right?
Those ones are telling the storyline in the song.
Okay. And finally, because we all know that no Nollywood movie is perfect, what's the bad thing about your film? What's the thing that people are going to be talking about that they didn't like about your film?
Probably the soundtrack, the fact that the storyline, the soundtrack tells you the story, the beginning and the end of the story.
Even get halfway into the movie.
It'll be like, one day this man got fired, but God has saved him. That kind of thing. That's what it's going to be.
That was really fun to do with you guys. We learned something. Shout out to your podcast. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
I like Ify's segment where he gives the financial advice. Really love it. And I like highlights, the highlight of the week. I really love that as well. So shout out to your podcast.
Thank you. We shouted you out as well last week.
Yeah, you guys did. Yeah. I really appreciated it.
Shout out to Goals or Not. And tune in we shout out every Sunday. We come on every Sunday with a new episode, and we just basically talk about relationship, love, marriage, lifestyle, and money, finance. Basically real life situations.
All right, guys, it was really fun speaking to you. All right, guys, thank you for listening to the Exploring Nollywood podcast. I've been your host, Mimi Marianne, and see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys. See you. Bye.